But let's get to the top conversation now. On the economic burners, the proposed amendments to the Central Bank of Nigeria Act, that's for 2007. Reactions have continued to trail the proposals contained in the current amendment bill. There. Join us now for this conversation is Dr. Chijioke Ikechukwu, MD, CEO, Dignity Finance and Investment Limited, joining me via Zoom from Singapore. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
So, first of all, what is wrong with the current CBN Act? It was last amended in 2007. We had about 5 amendments, 1991, 1993, 1997, 1998, then 2007. What's wrong with the current one?
As processes continue to evolve, there will be need always to amend any act or any constitution, any policy document or any act. We saw what happened in the last dispensation, where a sitting CBN governor was already asking for a position in the presidency of the country while still on seat. I think that's obviously what may have informed these amendments. And of course, wanting to use this same opportunity to amend some other things that they want to add. So it's only when we start talking about the amendments that we'll see the ones that are necessary for amendment and the ones that are not necessary for amendment. All
right. Definitely. We've had a lot of reactions at this time, but let's look at, some of these amendments, proposed amendments. Definitely see the establishment of a coordinating committee for monetary and fiscal policies. 10 of the governor and deputy governors, they're going to peg that about 6 years, and appointment of a minimum of 1 career staff. And the bill is also seeking to establish the position of a chief compliance officer. So some have said this may end up eroding the powers of the Apex Bank, that's the regulator. Are there some current proposed amendments to the acts that you would say are maybe commendable?
Yeah, first of all, as a country, we should be concerned about making CBN accountable and not compromise its autonomy or its independence. We should also be seeking a stronger corporate governance regime without compromising its independence. And then we should be seeking for transparency and responsible CBN without meddling with this same independence we're talking about. You see, CBN all over the world, so central banks all over the world, whether in the US where they call Federal Reserve Bank, or in England where they call it Bank of England, or even in Europe, they have been so established to do monetary policy, take monetary policy decisions, and they have been so established to also be independent of government, because the establishment of these central banks noted the fact that meddling, allowing government to meddle into affairs of central bank may actually have a whole lot of adverse effects. So today we are seeing the fact that they want to gradually bring in meddling things into CBN by government. It shouldn't be so. Talking about the coordinating committee of the monetary and fiscal policies, to be headed by the Minister for Finance. That is just one dangerous thing for us to do. I can tell you why. Having to chair that kind of committee by fiscal policy people, because from that list, you see a lot of fiscal policy people, governments actually. Note also that the same government, once in a while, want to borrow money from CBN. Are they saying that the people who are supposed to be borrowing money from CBN will sit on top and be in charge of the decisions to borrow through ways and means? So if we want to talk about corporate governance, that committee should actually not exist. It shouldn't exist because we already have the Monetary Policy Committee, we already have a Monetary Policy Committee that is doing this kind of work. And so we expect that if we have this coordinating committee, it is going to, first of all, remove the function of Monetary Policy Committee, which is not right. To imagine that you are going to take a decision on monetary policy when you are a fiscal policy person or you are government obviously eliminates the real function of CBN. So that is just the first thing I have seen in that area. And as far as we have the board of CBN existing, and we have the MPC, Monetary Policy Committee, existing, we really do not need, because the dangers of doing this is just that it's going to cause us a lot of damage that we're even trying to resolve. So please, I want to believe that they are not considering it, because if they do, then all we're doing is just to prepare for danger. Because when government starts meddling into affairs of CBN, the impact of that is going to be such that we are going to regret it in the future.
All right, I'd also like to get your opinion, because everyone's talking about, the independence of a central bank, at this time. But looking at, the Tinubu administration, how independent is the Central Bank of Nigeria, in your opinion?
So far, I have not seen so much of meddling by the government, because I want to believe that the president already knows the capacity and the capabilities of the current CBN governor. So I haven't seen so much of that meddling into the affairs. You see that all decisions that have been taken, which have been challenged by ordinary Nigerians or a few of ordinary Nigerians, the president didn't make any comment on them, because you see, the independence of CBN is sacrosanct. It should be sacrosanct, because when you ever allow the government or the National Assembly to get into the affairs of decision-making in CBN, then we are cooking. We are beginning to just look for trouble that is going to erupt someday. So please, these are the things I'm trying to say.
Okay, so there's this debate, that having an independent central bank leads to better use, of monetary policy. That's the tools. It also leads to stable prices and all of that. But does it really? Will an independent central bank always meet its target, in your opinion?
Yeah, because there are various committees, like I mentioned. It is expected that when CBN executive members are picked and selected and appointed, these are people that are already experienced, people with sound mind, people who already know the functions of CBN and already know the role CBN is supposed to play in the system. So it's like saying with the meddling or with the oversight function of National Assembly on agencies of government, that has not actually stopped them from doing what they want to do. But here we have MPC, Monetary Policy Committee. We also have the board of CBN to actually conduct good governance, corporate governance on CBN. All over the world, there is no meddling of any kind of government on the affairs of banks. You can check it in the US or in England or in Europe or anywhere else. CBN is allowed to be that autonomous in order to take certain decisions on their own without interference, because the people there are also responsible people who are going to take decisions. We're not going to, because there was a mistake or there was a misconduct by somebody that was there before, then want to eliminate that independence of CBN, because CBN was created to be independent in order to do their monetary policy functions. So let's not mix up some of these things.
All right. So at this stage, if these proposed amendments, become law, how do you see this impacting, investor sentiment, the foreign investor sentiment to Nigeria?
First of all, let me tell you what is going to happen. If some of these things that I mentioned, where CBN is going to present their budget to the National Assembly for discussion and approval and things like that.
All right, Dr. Ekechukwu, Dr. Ikechukwu, I'm so
Yes.
sorry. I'm so sorry. You're going to finish your thoughts in a moment. I just have to interrupt you for a little bit now. We're going to join a live coverage of the commissioning of the Southern Parkway from Crescent Center, that's to Ring Road. And we're going to be joining that coverage via DSTV, but this goes on other platforms. I'm so sorry, Dr. Ikechukwu, for interrupting you there, but you can conclude your thoughts now.
Okay. So I was just saying that once you have this kind of meddling and this kind of interference, where CBN will have to sit down and defend their budget, present their budget to National Assembly, and defend it for approval and no approval, what is going to happen is that the political risk of Nigeria will increase. The political risk of Nigeria will rise. And when it rises, our rating, global rating, will come down. And of course, rating companies are going to rate us low for having a very high political risk. That means we can't even take certain decisions without politics, without the decision of political people. So if that happens, what it means is that even our credibility, our credit rating is going to come down. For Nigeria to access loans outside this country is going to be a little more difficult, or for letters of credit of Nigerians to be acceptable all over the world is still going to be very difficult, because when you rate political risk high, then it's a major risk in terms of rating of risks.
Right, and we already got that report that letter of credit, the volume for the first quarter, that's dropped over 60%, at this time. But yes, I want to thank you so much. Definitely be counting down till Thursday to find out what's going to happen with this amendment proposal for the CBN Act. Thank you so much for coming on, Dr. Chijioke Ikechukwu, MD, Dignity Finance and Investments Limited. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.